these camps are absolutely cruel. I mean, it's cruel and unusual punishment, and this agency is literally that. I mean, it's sort of, it's inhumane. It really is. We see it as very inhumane, the way people are treated, and now people are really speaking out, around that issue and showing up at these camps and protesting and talking about it. And I think that's really important. And I can't believe that we've let this go on for so many years. To just let this be a thing, because it's absolutely disgusting. The more you see about families being separated from each other, this has been happening for a while. And the powers that be, the administration, even the Obama administration, has a really large part of keeping this going. And so we're saying no more. Now people are waking up to the fact that this is happening.
That's a really good point, because, another thing that we run into is in progressive districts is that you have people who are by, vote, could be good progressive or Democrats. They vote with the party, but they're not upfront on the issues like abolish ICE. They're not upfront and outspoken on Trump's treasonous presidency. Auntie Maxine is out here putting her life on the line, and who's supporting her? Who is backing her in Congress in a real way by using their voice? And so when I look at someone like a Cori Bush or Alex or any of the other candidates you have running, I see people who will actually use their bully pulpit, their influence to speak out and not just remain silent and pass a vote when the time comes.
Yeah, we've seen that happen too many times with not only abolish ICE, but like universal health care versus Medicare for all. Like, come on, take a bold stance. Like, we need to move forward. The only way we're going to push the agenda forward is if we make bold statements and, for example, 100% renewable energy in 10 years. That's not a pipe dream. That is a reality. We could make it happen. And it's only been sort of a very small fraction of people that deny climate change that is, real. There's a small fraction of folks like that. So I feel like that conversation is over. Like, this is not the dark ages, people. We could get to 100% renewable energy, and we just need to, but at the time, 2 years ago, that's crazy. Maybe 20 years. Like, why are you trying to reach for the skies? But we have to, in order to really push this thing forward, because frankly, we're running out of time on a lot of these issues.
I just want to point out, one of the issues that still comes up is the distrust of the political system. Again, I want to harp on that. During the protest, the end of one chant was, the whole damn system is guilty as hell. So these politicians, who many of them were activists, many we protested with and we still protest with, they go in, and of course there is accountability because they live with us, right? They're working class. But who's to say that they get in and then, get carried away by the system? And, that's always, especially given that they're going into the Democratic Party, who's going to try to wrap their arms around them. And we've seen them already try to wrap their arms around folks, and, just kind of not lure them away per se, but,
soften that message. It's a softening of the message. After Ferguson, there were people that came in, they were called conciliatory specialists. I believe they worked with the FBI, and their whole job was to come in and do what? Tamp down that fire, pour a little baking soda on it. And so I think that's kind of what the Democratic Party does to a lot of these outspoken candidates. But I also say that's more reason that we put more in, because the more that we have, the more cover you have. So I can be more radical in my position when I have cover.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I honestly believe that there's strength in numbers. And our whole thing is we can get to a supermajority. Our goal is 400 plus. And I'm not talking about just Democrats. I'm talking about Republicans and independents. And that was very shocking.
So what does that look like? Because I was wondering.
Yeah, it's very shocking. But we consider ourselves a post-partisan movement. We're beyond party. It's about the people. There are certain districts in the United States that a Democrat is just not going to win. Right. However, we have found people, one in particular down in Arkansas, who is a pastor and just believes in doing good for each other, and just this moral agenda that he believes in our platform 100%, Medicare for all, making sure that women have a choice, on what to do with their bodies and all the things. Like when you separate Republicans versus Democrats, there's only things that like social issues that people really think about when it comes down to it. And this guy is really about, this is an agenda that needs to work for all Americans, and that's what he's pushing. But he's never had a choice on. But the thing is, in his campaign, he has a majority of Democrats that are helping him on his campaign, that are out there canvassing, Green Party, Independents, Republicans, and that seems really shocking to people. But that's just the way it had to go. Like the particular race I'm talking about was a guy who, in Arkansas, where the Democrat was not strong, didn't really have very strong policy, and basically Rob was basically the incumbent Steve Womack. He's been in the seat. It votes with Trump like 95% of the time, and people wanted him out. And so the only way to get this incumbent out was to vote for our candidate, who happened to be registered Republican, because that's the only way we would be able to win. So in a lot of cases, we have folks like that are, they vote that way because they're voting regarding where they live. That's the only way they'll have a chance.
They call them blue dog Democrats.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also these are people that don't necessarily care about the party label, but it's really about this policy and who these people are. So I feel like we can find lots more like that. It's been few and far between regarding Republicans, but, what about independents? What about Green Party candidates?
Yeah. I honestly look at even libertarians, because a true libertarian platform isn't really that far off from progressive, right? They want local control. They, want the government out of their business. So a lot of them are softer on social issues like abortion, because it means, government hands off. So I think that there's always ways to connect with people and to find candidates that are just like, no, we need these establishment corporate politicians. We need them gone.
So I think this is a great transition. Like, what a powerful movement. It just basically takes that phrase from protest to politics to like a whole different level. And so just transitioning, this podcast is about activists getting intellectual. Y'all already been like flexing your intellectual muscles and all this smart
I don't know
people
about all
in this room. All right, so this is a section where it is the basis of this podcast, where activists get intellectual. And Patric is reading a book called Eternal Colonialism. And Kay is going to read a portion of it really quickly.
Okay. The United States, Great Britain, and Australia are obvious practitioners of eternal colonialism, given their roles in international military domination. The United States and Western-led institutions such as the International Monetary Fund, IMF, or the World Bank and the WTO, World Trade Organization, are leading practitioners of contemporary colonialism. And it should be noted that colonialism, whether it is external or internal, has several common features. The colonialized are often segregated by residence. They are usually concentrated in low-paying jobs and have higher poverty rates than the non-colonialized. They are stigmatized in terms of culture, and they have suffered co-option of a segment of their leaders. Colonialism is racist. People who are not white are particular targets of it. Colonialism is also intensely sexist. Colonized women and girls are the targets of very specific forms of oppression.
Wow, that's a powerful passage. Patric, why did you choose this book? Didn't one of your professors write this book?
Yeah, so Dr. Hall was actually previously he was a professor of just political science there, and then he became the departmental chair for the political science department. And so this was like I said, it's a collection of essays by several different authors. And so this chapter, his chapter, let me go here. The new North-South de-alignment in international relations and the impact on regional and global affairs. That was, again, that's external colonialism. is his focus, and the internal colonialism focus was written by Dr. Russell Benjamin. So this is, I believe his chapter may be the first, and then it goes into, like I said, several different other essays by other academics. So I mean, for me, this is a continuation of something that's been going on for hundreds, but in a lot of ways, thousands of years. A lot of these tactics, are really just revised tactics, that have been used over time, and again, just perfected. And this impacts, not just folks, not just black kids from Southwest Atlanta to Philly, to New York, to New Orleans, to you name it. This also affects people in Africa, in Eastern Europe and Western Europe and Southeast Asia, across the world. So
you basically saying that we've all been colonized.
South America, Central America, yeah.
So you basically saying we've all been colonized. Like, what does that mean? Like, in what's a specific way you can point to how we've been colonized? Because many people are like, I'm not colonized.
I mean, just mass incarceration for one, and the money that's made off of it is a classic case of I'll go in and I'm gonna take the diamonds out of the ground. Mm-hmm. The diamonds out of the ground are black men and women, and they get pushed into free labor for them. That is same song, third verse. I'm gonna have you come over here and make these guns for me, conscription. Because I got a war I got to deal with. And that's the other extended part about this, is that this is same song, third verse of them playing with fire and ending up in a situation that they thought, I guess, they were preventing through their policy, like deterrence theory. But this is what we were talking about last night. That deterrence theory brought us World War I, brought us World War II.
What is deterrence theory for those of us who...
Say it again?
What is the theory?
Deterrence theory.
Deterrence
okay. Is I'm going to build up I'm going to build such a large military with such a large, arsenal that you're not going to attack me. You'll know better than that. But then when everybody does that and everybody keeps, getting scared of what the other person is going to do, as well as those technologies being utilized too. It's not just, that's what's going on right now with everyone getting hacked left and right, to the point where, elections are getting hacked. I mean, and this isn't just like somebody hooked up a computer, but this is also, that's what that indictment was all about. You got guys purchasing companies, Russian folks purchasing companies to get access to vote. This is, this stuff is, long in the making, man. And that's what all this is. At the end of the day, is us playing with these instruments of war and us, refusing to accept that we're going to hurt ourselves with these things instead of, to me, I think the same way we approach, nuclear non-proliferation is the same way we need to approach militaries. We need to, either we're going to continue to stockpile and then we're going to use it and kill ourselves, or we're going to realize that, this is not a smart way forward and it's a waste of money. Not only are we going to kill ourselves, but we're spending all of our money in the process while preparing ourselves to kill ourselves.
And we peep how we saw tanks, right? Tanks are supposed to be used outside of the country. Mm-hmm. Even though that's horrible as well, used in cities like Ferguson, Baltimore, New York City. Like, I mean, even after the 60s movement, streets got widened so that tanks could get down the streets. So it's like, you see communities occupied just like, is some invading army. Like, how do we do that? How do we remove ourselves? How do we get beyond these militarized, colonized communities? Like, what does it look like? What does decolonization look like?
Mm-hmm. One of the things that they say that, that you have like a fascist regime is that hero worship of people in uniform, police officers, FBI, whatever, soldiers. So I really would like to, I think one is to get away from worshiping basically weapons of destruction, human weapons of destruction, right? And so these people are literally trained to kill. Some of them are trained to kill folks in other countries, but many of them, the most oppressive ones even, are trained, for us at least, are trained to kill us within our own borders, within